know.
Okay, I just hit record. We'll talk a little bit about health and wellness at the end of the call. But
Okay.
for those of you just dialing in, welcome, welcome. I see, of course, that we have Deborah. Susan is wrapping up a little bit of work before she's on the call, but she's wrapping up a little bit before she jumps on and joins us verbally. We do have Paula Ma on the line, so welcome, Paula. Thank you for joining us. And then I do see somebody that has, it looks like maybe just dialed in, but I don't have a name. So if you want to let us know who's on the line, that would be great.
Hi, this is Patty. I'm on the line, but I'm on the phone, so I can't get to my computer. I have an appointment at 12:30, so I'm just going to kind of listen and drive at the same time.
No, you're fine, you're fine. And by all means, watch the playback because you're going to want to see the slides
I
for
know.
this one. So yes.
I really didn't want to, I did not want to miss this one, but I have a hair appointment that got changed from Thursday to today at this time, so I didn't have much.
No, you're fine. And that's the great thing about the playback. So you're going to get to hear the questions. You're going to get to at least hear what's going on. And then you can put everything together when you see the slides on playback. So no. Don't you worry about it at all.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Hair is important. Trust me, I know. And when a hairdresser switches an appointment, they are very appreciative when you can make it. So don't even apologize for that at all. I completely understand that.
Right. I got to get ready for rep test.
Right.
And I don't want to miss any of the information you're giving on it either. So I will be definitely listen to the call back and hear all the stuff. But I will be there Thursday too for our meeting, so Kim can clue me in on stuff too.
Oh, good. And I'm glad you kind of said that. So I might be overstepping, but for those of you on this call that are not in the Modesto area, representatives that were well, they still are in the Modesto area, the district in which I was a district manager. Those representatives have continued to meet every other Thursday on a regular basis to go over different types of things, such as product information and leadership information. So if you guys on the call are not part of those representatives or that group, and you're interested in attending that meeting, I'm going to kind of put it out there that I'm sure Kim would be more than happy to give you details on that. So those of you that are not currently attending that and would like to drive to Modesto and see what's up with that, it is representatives getting together, really going over what's going on right now for this campaign in this 2 weeks. And it's really a great opportunity for you guys to get together. So reach out to Kimberly about that. I hope you don't mind, Miss Kim. I don't even know if Kim is on yet. So you guys just reach out to her. Yeah. Just reach out to her. I'm sure she'll be fine with it. But we are going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everybody to the group seminar for conversational selling. Those of you that were on the group wrap-up call last Friday know that this is actually going to be a really exciting module. This is going to be our first step, if you want to say, in the actual formal training part of the coaching program. So this is going to be really fun, and we're going to dip our toes in the water of words to use and how to really turn every conversation we have into an opportunity to, go from being an opportunity taker to an opportunity maker. Now, on our last call, we talked a little bit about who's your hero and why. And the reason we talk about that really is when we get down to it, we want to be somebody's hero. Maybe not necessarily that person that, somebody just wants to run up to and get their autograph. Not that kind of hero. But somebody that you look up to. Somebody that, at the end of the day, When I go to bed, I know I made a difference in somebody's life. And most of us want to be that for somebody else. And when I think of a hero, I think, wow, that's that person for me. So what qualities does that person have that I can then capture? So we left last Friday with those thoughts. Who's your hero and why? And I'd like to open up the call. If any of you would like to share, did you think about it over the weekend? Did you decide on somebody? And if so, why did you pick that person? Anybody?
I'll go ahead and talk since no one's talking.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, actually, my husband came to mind right away. He's a very loyal, stable, and consistent person. And in a lot of ways, he's my opposite, good and bad. But I admire a lot of his qualities. So he was like the first person that came to mind for me as far as a hero.
I love that, Susan. So what I'm really hearing you say is the reason he is your hero is simply for the qualities that he possesses that you're attracted to, basically those qualities that maybe you feel like you're lacking, and he possesses those qualities. And so that to you, it makes him a hero. It makes him somebody you admire or want to be like.
Yes, and plus, if he hadn't married me, I might be an old maid.
Oh my goodness, you're so funny. I love it, Susan. Plus, he married me, so he's got to be my hero. I love it. But you know, that's the thing is those are the heroes in our lives. Those are the everyday heroes. Those people that have the qualities that we feel like we're lacking or that we're just simply attracted to. We admire those qualities in that person, and we feel better when we're around them. So first of all, kudos to marrying your hero, because that's always a step in the right direction. But I mean, how many of us are really drawn to those people that make us feel good and have those qualities that we really would like to possess? And that's really the wrap up to the last 2 weeks that we spent together, is why is that person your hero? What qualities do they have that maybe you're lacking? And how could you adapt those qualities? And at the end of the day, how can you then be a hero to somebody on your team, or even more than one person on your team? So that's what that thought starter was about. And I'd really like you guys to continue to think about that. And I really want to thank you, Susan, for sharing, because it really is about growing and sharing. And when you say it out loud, then we can all think about it and think about it a different way. Yours was your husband, mine was my grandma. There's definitely people in our lives that make a huge impact. So one of the things that I want to tell you guys as we start this call is there will be a thought starter or a hot topic at the end of each call that you guys will have the entire 2 weeks to think about. So I'm going to give you kind of a sneak peek at today's hot topic on the call. And it is, who is the most interesting person you know and why? So as we're talking today about conversational selling and taking those opportunities every chance you get, I want you to really think about that. Who's the most interesting person you know, and why is that person interesting to you? So let's really kick off this conversational selling. We're going to take the next hour and 20 minutes to really go over how we can take every conversation we have and turn it into something. Some type of opportunity, some type of sell, if you will. And I know a lot of times in direct selling, you'll hear, oh, it's not about the product, you sell yourself. Or, you know, all you need is a great product because you sell that product. And you don't have to work hard to sell a great product. How many of those lines have we all heard within the direct selling motto? I know I've heard them a ton of times. So what we're really going to do is we're going to kind of take that word sell out of it. Yes, we are selling an opportunity or we are selling a product. But really, when you get down to it, it's not necessarily a great word. A lot of people don't like that word. So we're going to take that word out of it. And what we're going to do is we're going to offer. We're going to offer an amazing opportunity for people. And we're going to offer some really great products. So let's take this next bit of time to really go over. Hold on, it's not going to let me move my screen with the toolbar to the side. So let me do this. There we go. So if you guys are typing in the chat box, I'm not going to be able to see it because it won't let me move my screen and see the chat box at the same time. I am really sorry. So you'll have to give me a little shout out if you can, or if somebody else can see the chat box and there's a question in there that's pertinent, definitely let me know. And can you guys hear me okay still?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So now let's look at conversational selling and what that really means. We're going to go over the first S in BOSS, which is selling. And we all know in this company, it comes as much as we're growing our leadership business, as much as we're out there, talking, you're selling a product, you're selling an opportunity. We're sharing, remember, we're offering this product and this opportunity. So we're going to go through the GROW model, in which the G in GROW is get to know the person and their needs. How many times have you offered the opportunity or offered a product before you actually got to know the person and what they needed, and realized as soon as you offered that product or opportunity, that wasn't what the person needed? And had you asked one more question, you probably would have had a much more successful buy-in. I know that happens to the majority of us at least once or twice. So let's get to know that person and his or her needs. Once we get to know them, we can then recommend the right Avon solution. In this module, the right Avon solution will be the Avon opportunity. Once we offer the right Avon solution, we're going to offer a relatable story, which demonstrates your belief. And that's why the last 2 weeks were so important, because you guys really used that self-assessment to really narrow down your belief or your why. And over the next 2 weeks in this module and the modules to come, you guys will really be exercising that belief and using that belief. And then, of course, the W is work to establish the next steps. I know many of us struggle with what we consider to be closing. And this W part of the GROW model is where we're really going to work on the closing side of selling that opportunity or sharing that opportunity. So let's focus on that first S in BOSS, which is selling, right? So you may be thinking selling the Avon opportunity is about outreach. And we'll be aligning the O in BOSS when we discuss planning later in the program. Planning is more the outreach that we're talking about. So the opportunity really comes in selling and how to have conversations that will get you where you need to be able to sell that Avon opportunity. So let's talk about conversational selling. How many of you really believe in your ability to build a relationship and grow your business? How many of you really are confident when you walk into any situation that you can have an easy, flowing conversation that leads you where you need to go? Anybody? No? Sometimes conversations are hard, and sometimes conversations are really hard when you don't know the person that you're talking to. So what we're going to do in this module is we're going to take you guys from one of 2 types of Avon representative. And you may be neither, you may be a combination of both depending on what day it is. But we're going to take you from either timid and passive or overly aggressive to confident enough to grow your business using the module. And what I mean by timid or passive is, how many times have you heard this? I really enjoy working for Avon. Maybe we can chat one day about it and see what it can do for you. Well, one day, what if that person wants that day to be today? And then you just walk away and there was never a next step, or you're not even really sure what the buy-in is to that. It was pretty much throwing a statement out there, kind of casting your fishing pole, setting your fishing pole down and walking away from the lake. So a lot of us do that. You know, we call that planting seeds sometimes, but when will you come back and water that seed? So then there's a flip side to that, and that is being overly aggressive. And overly aggressive can sound a lot like this. Are you looking for an Avon opportunity unlike any other opportunity? Are you seeking a social life that provides financial freedom? Well, do I have the answer for you? Did I sound like a telemarketer or an infomercial? Because that's what overly aggressive can sound like. It almost sounds like you're chasing or attacking the person you're talking to, and nobody feels comfortable with an over-aggressive salesperson. So we're going to take those unsure or overly aggressive, and we're going to bring it right over into growing your business through getting to know the person, recommending the right solution, offering a story that might not always be your story. Remember, sometimes a sister manager story, a sister representative story is just as powerful if it relates to that person better than your story does. And you don't have to adopt the story as yours. You can let them know, I have another representative on my team, or I work with another Avon representative, and her situation is a lot like yours. So that story, as long as it's relatable and real, doesn't have to be yours. And then, of course, closing, following up, and working to establish those next steps. So, as you grow your business, you need to consider every conversation as a potential opportunity. How many times do you get somewhere and you leave, let's say the grocery store? How many times have you been standing in line and the lady in front of you, you really want to talk to her, but you let that opportunity slip by because you're just really not sure what to say? So that's really what we're going to go over. We're going to give you guys some easy steps that you can have really kind of in your back pocket, some words to use that will give you a starting place for many situations. We're going to take the next 2 weeks to really break down all the components of a conversation. And remember that you may not hit each component in one conversation. It may take several times of speaking with or talking to someone to get all the way from point 1 through our 8 steps. So let's look at what those 8 steps are. First of all, we're going to start a conversation, and then we're going to dig a little deeper. And that's where sometimes people hit a little tough spot. Once we've dug just a little bit deeper, we're going to be able to clarify those needs. And of course, that's when we're going to communicate a solution. And remember that during this module, the solution will always be the Avon opportunity first. We can then connect the dots by taking her needs and her wants, our solution, and sharing our belief or why in a relatable story that connects the dots of those things. And then, of course, ask how the person feels about the story that you shared. Ask, is there anything else you may be able to offer that could clarify the picture? And then establish those next steps. So first, we're going to start a conversation and dig a little deeper, because these are really the G in get to know the person. You can't really offer anything. You can't really do anything until you know what this person needs and who this person is, right? So we got to get to know them a little bit. So how many times have you been at the grocery store? We go places. What does your everyday life look like? Not many of us are sitting in our house for, 24 hours a day. Most of us get out at one point or another. So where do those chance encounters happen? Where are we going to meet people? Pretty much anywhere. Every day we have chance encounters with people. So what can you do? What can you share at these chance encounters? Besides the coffee shop or maybe the drugstore or the mall, can you guys think of any other places that you come in contact with people that you could start a conversation and it wouldn't be out of the ordinary or seem strange to start a conversation? Any other places?
Sporting events.
Oh, perfect, Kim. I love that. And I see somebody said, Laura, her kid's school. And that's exactly right. Those of you with children, grandchildren, those sporting events and the kids' school that Laura mentioned and Kim mentioned, those are perfect places. And I don't really have a nice way to say this, but people are trapped at those places. You can't get away, right? You're going to the sporting event to watch your child. So no matter who's sitting at that sporting event with you, you're going to stay there. Same thing goes with pickup and drop off time for the school. You can't just leave. So conversations become very natural. People tend to want to talk to somebody when they're stuck somewhere. Also, Susan said the gym or church, and those are perfect places too. People are friendly. At church, people are talking. At the gym, people might be busy, but it's still easy to strike up a conversation because you obviously have something in common. You're both at the gym, right? How many times do we talk to a stranger at a department store? Let's look at the mall. How many times have you overheard two women at a department store giggling or laughing about something that they're trying on? Or at the grocery store line, and you're stuck and, oh my goodness, this line is so long. I have so many other things I'd rather be doing. So these are just examples of really where you can be anywhere to start these conversations. So let's look at some general conversation starters and how you can make connections. Nobody just wants somebody to walk up to them and say, oh my goodness, I sell Avon and it looks like you would love to sell Avon. Do you want to sell Avon? Right? I hear the giggling, but tell me, we have all heard somebody say that, or we have done it in some form, maybe not that direct, but pretty direct. So throughout this module, what we're going to do is move from that really direct approach, which, don't get me wrong, works great in certain situations. If you're at an event, you're in a booth, you're standing behind a table, that direct approach is spot on because those people know what you're doing. They know what you're offering and they're coming to you. But that's a very small portion of our time. So let's talk about the larger portion of our time, which is going to be that indirect approach. So option 1, find a common ground and ask open-ended questions. This is going to be really important because if you ask a question that somebody can either say yes or no to, they will. People don't just open their mouth and divulge everything willingly all at once. So you definitely have to ask open-ended questions. Examples of that can be like what I just shared a second ago. Wow, this grocery store line is so long. Who has time for this? Now, finding that common ground might be finding that place of frustration. People that are frustrated tend to want to talk to somebody else that's frustrated about the same thing. So empathizing with that frustration, that long line right at 5:30 after you've spent a long, hard day at the office. She's frustrated about that. She's got to get home. She's still got to make dinner. So identifying with that frustration is usually a huge door opener. How would you rather be spending your time? Once you lose your breath and go, oh my goodness, with the line, I have so many things I could be getting done. And she turns around and she looks at you and she's like, right? How easy would it be to say, I know, right? So how would you rather be spending your time right now? Very simple. She's not just going to turn around and say nothing. She may give you a short answer, but she'll definitely give you an answer that you could then dig deeper or ask more questions about. Now, option 2 is to compliment this person. A lot of us have a little bit of pushback when it comes to complimenting because it feels like it can be fake. So really the key to complimenting is to make sure that it's genuine, and you may not be complimenting a specific item that the person is wearing or a specific something that is going to tie directly to Avon. The compliment may be in general, such as, wow, you look really great. What do you do for a living? I mean, if somebody walks into the grocery store in a 3-piece suit, that's a very relatable, real compliment. You don't see somebody like that all the time. So, wow, you look really great. Are you on your way to a special event? No, I just came from work. I'd love a job where I got to dress like that. What kind of job do you have? What do you do? Very easy. And then, of course, digging a little deeper, how do you like it? What's the favorite thing? What do you dislike? Just ask questions. Don't forget also to catch compliments. We're always, making people feel good, making others feel good by offering compliments. But don't forget to catch the compliments that others are throwing your way, because those are conversation starters for you to be able to ask open-ended questions too. And this is, again, where we're going to be our own best advertisement. We're going to be wearing our Avon products, our Avon clothes, our Avon shoes, our Mark products, or jewelry, whatever it is, because when that compliment comes your way, it's very easy to start a conversation about your business when you're wearing your own products. So warm up conversations with open-ended questions. After you connect, you have to get her talking to find out what matters, right? So open-ended questions are really easy. I shouldn't say they're really easy, because sometimes they're not. It's really easy to determine whether a question is going to be open-ended by the way you start it. If you can start a question with the words why, what, how, who, when, or the phrase, so tell me, those are usually going to lead to open-ended questions. You need to make sure that you stay interested in the conversation instead of trying to be the interesting person. You can relate to the things that she's saying without overbearing the conversation. So does anybody have an example of an open-ended question if we use the line at the grocery store, because we all shop for groceries? So what would an open-ended question look like using why, standing in line at the grocery store? Does anybody want to share? You can share in the chat box. I figured out how to be able to see it and the screen at the same time. Jenny had an aha moment today. Yay. So an example of why, or if you don't want to do why, what, how, who, when, any of them. Give me an example of what you can ask somebody at the grocery store. Oh, you guys are killing me. So how about, wow. Oh, how do you like that bread? Perfect, Susan. Nobody's going to look at you and say, yep. That would be so rude. If they do, you don't want them on your team anyways. Let's just put it that way. But people are gonna answer. How do you like that bread? Oh my goodness, this is my favorite because, and they're gonna tell you why. So along those same lines, Susan's looking at what's in their cart. So how about if they're setting stuff on the counter and you notice everything to make a certain dish? So, ooh, looks like you're making tacos tonight. That sounds great. Tell me a little bit about, my family loves tacos. How about yours? They're going to be like, oh yeah, we do tacos, blah, blah, blah. Now, Kim, I lost it, but I saw her say, how are you surviving this heat? That's huge, right? It's 5 o'clock. It's the hottest part of the day. They've probably been in an office, or maybe they've worked outside all day. How are you surviving this heat? Because I'm barely making it. So just really simple everyday conversation starters. You're not looking to, tackle the person with an Avon question within the first 10 seconds. So how about, how's your job going? What if you're at the grocery store and you're talking to the clerk? How's your job going? What if you reach into the cooler to grab your gallon of milk and the person's in there bundled up in 32-degree weather, and you can pop in and say, oh my goodness, I'd rather be you than the person collecting carts right now. Right? Just saying, you can have these conversations with anybody at any time. Just start talking. So tell me a little bit about what you do. How do you do it, managing a family and your career? Laura says, let's see if I can get that back, Laura. I didn't have time to read that. Laura's saying, I always talk. I have to work on transitioning it to Avon. So are you guys finding that that's the problem? More so than starting the conversation, finding the need to transition it to Avon?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so that comes in digging deeper. Would you agree? Some of these first questions are easy, but just out of the first answer, you won't be able to connect it to Avon most of the time, right? So what do you think is the hardest part of staying home with your kids? That's a huge question. Stay-at-home moms all the time are not appreciated. So what do you think is the hardest part about staying home with your kids? So when somebody tells you something like that, how would you get it a bridge to Avon? You have to dig deeper, right? You've got to dig deeper. And that comes in asking those follow-up questions. So if you could change your situation, what would you change? That's a dig deeper question, right? If you could change something about your current job, what would it be? Or why do you like to volunteer with the PTA? What if you just sit next to somebody at a PTA meeting and you lean over and say, this is my first PTA meeting. How long have you been with the PTA? That would get a conversation going. Really? Why do you like it so much? Do you have kids? How many kids do you have here at the school? Just things like that. So we're going to get into the dig deeper part, which is what you guys seem to be saying is the harder part. You're going to find out what matters most by listening with questions. And I know that sounds weird, listen with questions. You want to listen, but you want to listen for her needs and her wants. So you're listening to what she's saying, but you're also listening to what she's implying or what she's inferring to. You need to ask those follow-up questions, and those need to be open-ended also to keep her talking. So let's do a little bit of role play. And it's going to be really easy on here because the script's going to be read for you. So if we have two people that will volunteer to do a little bit of role play, I'm going to keep you two on the back burner for a second. And all you're going to have to do is read. I promise there's nothing that is going to be complicated about this role play. But what I want the rest of you to do while these two people are reading these lines is really look for those opportunities in what they're saying and what the replies are to what they're saying, because that's where everything lies, is in the opportunities in the conversation. So here are a few examples of your open-ended questions when you hear people say things. So how many times have we heard people say, wow, I just moved here and I don't have any friends. I'd really like to make some new friends. Why is making new friends important to you? I've never asked somebody that. When somebody tells me they want to make new friends, I usually like, oh, you should join a club. And that's it, right? But why is making new friends important to them? I am so busy all the time. I never have any time to do anything. I wish I had a more flexible job. Well, what would more flexibility in your day mean to you? What would that look like? What would you do with that? I could really use more money in my household. And we go from I need more money straight into, well, do I have an opportunity for you? But how about if we pause for a second and say, what would more money mean for your family? What would you guys do with it? And what would that look like? We got to dig a little deeper. So do I have my 2 volunteers? Does anybody want to volunteer for me? I just need 2. Yay.
I will.
Okay. So I got Deborah saying I will. I got Laura and Kim typing. Either Laura or Kim, take it. And you'll have to chime on and read out loud. So Deborah, can you be Sally?
Okay.
Okay. So Laura is saying, Kim, you do it. So Kim, you just got volunteered. Kim, can you be Sarah?
Yes.
Okay. So Sally is obviously the current Avon representative, and she met Sarah at spin class and asked her if she could have coffee. So this is just 2 girls from spin class sitting down for coffee. So this first person is Sally, which is Deborah. Go ahead, Deborah.
Hi, Sarah. Happy Friday. I am so glad we could connect for coffee.
Me too. That spin class is awesome. We have so much fun. It is a great stress release.
I am with you. I feel great after every class. Did I hear you say that you have 3 kids, one of which is in college? I have only one little guy, and I feel like I can hardly keep my head above water.
Yes, that's right. I also have a crazy dog, and my 2 boys are on a traveling soccer team. I spend my weekend scalping them all over the place.
Schlepping.
That was a good one.
Oh.
I don't envy you there. What else causes you stress?
Okay, I want to pause for a second. So Kim or Sarah mentioned stress in her very first statement, but Sally, which is Deborah, continued to have a normal conversation with her 3 transitions back and forth before she mentioned the stress level again. Did you guys notice that? Yes, maybe.
I didn't.
Keep paying attention. She's listening and she's complying questions. She's making those questions in her head. So she doesn't envy her at all. What else causes her stress?
Oh gosh, I work from home as a book editor. I spend my days on the computer with very little interaction. I need to connect with a human over the age of 14.
I get it. If you could create the life you dream about, what would that life look like?
It would have less stress. I would have lots of friends to hang out with, and I would have plenty of money to help pay for my daughter's college and travel. I love experiencing new places.
Okay, so that was just a conversation, right? So now we're going to dig a little bit deeper.
So Sarah, why do you feel being connected and having friends are important for you now?
Since my divorce, I have felt so isolated. We had to move to a new area, and I have not felt up to finding new friends.
I totally understand. I am divorced and I felt that same way when I went through it. You mentioned you would love to have more money to help pay for college and travel more. What would it mean to you if you had more money for those things?
Well, first, I would feel relieved that my daughter will not graduate from college with a ton of debt. I don't want her to have that level of stress at such a young age. Also, by having more money to travel, I could fulfill my lifelong dream of visiting Europe.
Okay, so thank you, both of you, for reading. Now, I'll put it out there. I'll be the first one to put it out there. This is not your typical conversation, right? I mean, these ladies met in spin class and they're like besties all of a sudden. This might happen over a couple coffee sessions. You might not find out, that Sarah got a divorce in your first cup of coffee. That might be after your second spin class or cup of coffee. The idea is that she still has not said anything about Avon. She's really just been a friend. She's really just been getting to know Sarah. So how can all the information that Sarah has given to Sally help Sally sell Sarah the Avon opportunity? My goodness, that sounds like a tongue twister. That sounded like Sally selling seashells on the seashore kind of thing. I'm sorry, guys. But how can all of that information that Sarah gave to Sally help Sally share the Avon opportunity? What does Sally have that she knows now?
She has a need and a desire.
She does. What's that need? She mentioned several needs. What are those needs?
She needed she needed money for her daughter, and that would relieve her stress because she needs a stress release.
Yeah.
She needs
Friends.
Friends.
like
yes.
one, correspond. She needs other adults in her life.
Yes, yes. So she opened up and shared lots. She's feeling very secluded right now, so she would like the camaraderie of other people that are over the age of 14. She's in a new place, so she moved somewhere new. She doesn't have people and she doesn't have things to do yet. She would like the extra money because she does have a lifelong dream of visiting Europe, but she also has the right now need of taking care of her boys that are in a traveling soccer team, as well as a daughter who's in college, because she doesn't want her daughter to have a huge financial burden when she graduates. So lots of information that she divulged to Sally. Now, Sally has a few ways that she can go with this, right? She clarified some needs. Now, what time is it? I mean, it's time. She dug deeper. She got to know a lot. It's time to recommend the right Avon solution, right? Like I said before, in this module, the right Avon solution is going to be the Avon opportunity. So she's going to then restate or clarify those needs. She's going to communicate that solution, which is going to be the Avon opportunity. And then she's going to connect the dots for Sarah. So let's look at what that can look like. Clarify her needs and wants, the 3 C's. Communicate the right Avon solution and connect the dots. How does that solution tie back and meet her needs and her wants? So let's look at that a little bit. Why is this important to clarify? Now, we're just going to go kind of right back to our very first module. After our one-on-one calls, you all received what I called a wrap-up email. What did that wrap-up email do? It summarized or clarified what I heard you say on the call. So that way, we could communicate openly and clearly what your needs were and what your desires were out of this program, your team, and your business. So then at the end of that wrap-up email, I could connect the dots and offer you thought starters or ideas to help you with your need and your want. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is what you're going to do. Perfect, Laura. Thank you. This is what you're going to do at the end of every conversation that you have, really. And this is something that can help you not only in your Avon business, but in your life with your spouse, with your child, with that significant other, with a friend, with, a parent. this is really just basic communication skills, the three C's. Listen to what people want. Clarify what you heard them say so that you can then come to an agreement or find that right solution for the problem, and then connect the dots. Let them know why your solution circles back and really meets the needs that they want. So sometimes what that does is it makes them feel appreciated or heard. Wow, she really did listen. She really did hear what I was saying, and she's really offering me valuable information or a valuable solution to what I said I wanted. And when that happens, there's really no reason for a solid no. There may be reasons for a not right now or an I need to think about it. But when you have done the 3 C's properly, you really don't have a reason for a no, because they've helped you come to that conclusion. So, just an example. This is a silly one. We're going to move on to the next screen because it's going to clarify it without this silly little example on the screen right now. This is basically saying, so Sarah, given the needs, for a little extra money and a little bit of adult time that I heard you say that you kind of want and miss, and that friendship that you really haven't had a chance to build with anybody yet, I think I have a really great solution for that. I have an Avon team, and I would love you to be a part of my Avon team. We get together, we have, sales meetings, we have trainings, we do things, we build confidence in one another, and all at the same time, we're earning extra income. So I really think that this might be a great way for you to support your daughter in college. Help those bills be a little less for her, and you never know, your daughter may eventually want to join your team and also help with some of those college bills and expenses that she's accumulating while she's there. How does that sound? How does that sound to you? Does it sound like I listened and then communicated and then connected the dots right back to what I heard? Perfect, Deborah says. So let's look at the example. Thank you, Deborah. And Susan. Thank you. So let's look at the examples that, oh, yay, Barbara, you're here. Okay, good. I didn't see you come in. For those of you that heard my phone ring on the line, I think Barbara was trying to get me, and I was trying to text with her. So if I sounded distracted at the beginning of the call, it was because I was trying to help Barbara get on, and I don't know if anything even went through. So I'm glad you made it, Miss Barbara. So let's listen to Sally recommend the right Avon solution for Sarah. Can I have my same 2 volunteers?
Sure.
So here's Sally.
Okay. Oh, it's me?
It's you.
It's me. Okay. It sounds like you would love to connect with some new people and make some extra money to help pay for your daughter's college and travel. Is that right?
Yes, I would love to do that.
You should join my team as an Avon representative. You can make new friends and be part of a great group of women. The ladies on my team are fabulous. Everyone supports each other and has a lot of fun. You would love them. As a rep for Avon, you can also earn extra money for your daughter's college and for cool trips. You can help her avoid stress when she graduates, and you can take that dream trip to Europe. Who doesn't want to have fun with friends and make money at the same time?
Oh, well, I don't know what that was, but that sounded very dramatic. I thought that there was another reply to that, but pretty much what Sally just said was what I said in different words. And what's going to happen when you guys dig a little deeper is that you're going to find those words and connecting those dots come really easy because you took the time to have a real conversation. And I know for most of us, we do this in our personal lives all the time with our friends. We truly sit and we listen. But how often do we do that with somebody that we consider to be a prospect? You know what I mean? It's not something that we all take the time and do on a normal basis. And really, that's where everything comes from, is really building that. So now it's time to share your belief or offer that relatable story that demonstrates your belief or your why. And this will help to bridge and close and establish those next steps. So you guys know that in the first module, you did this screen. You filled out your heart. What do you want in life? What do you not want in life? How has your Avon business changed your life in a positive way, of course? And why do you have an Avon business? How does running your business make you feel? So you take those 4 quadrants of your heart, and that's what makes up your belief. Maybe your belief is you truly believe that by inspiring other people and helping other people reach their goals, that you reach your ultimate goal. It really just depends on what your belief is, but you're going to share your belief at this time. You're going to offer that relatable story. So let's look at what Sally's relatable story is. So let me tell you what's worked for me and a few other people like you. I totally understand how you feel when you say you need to connect with new friends. When my son went to kindergarten, I was totally lost. My whole life had revolved around him, his needs, and I had very, very few friends. That's when I found Avon. Avon gives me a reason to connect with people, and it gives me something new to talk about beyond my son and his needs. I love that. I've made so many new friends. You know, you remind me a lot of Suzanne. Suzanne's my sister-in-law. She pulled me aside a few years ago and was interested in learning more about Avon. Every year, Suzanne takes a trip with her girlfriends. My brother always complains because they really can't afford her girls' trip. Suzanne refuses to give up her girl time, so she wanted something to help her pay for the trips herself. She found that Avon gave her the opportunity to not only pay for the trips, but it also gave her more girl time with new friends. I really believe that Avon might be the right opportunity for you. So let's talk a little bit about her belief and her relatable story. Did Sally's story relate to Sarah's?
Yes.
Yes, it did. How?
It did.
They were both in the same situation as far as being divorced and needing friends and feeling isolated in their own lives.
Right. So even though the situation was not exactly the same, you've got Sally with her little one, and that's really all she's got going on. And then you've got Sarah with 3 more grown-up children, their busy lives, their hectic, the college bills and all that going on, but they still have very similar needs. So Sally was able to take those similar needs and transition them into a relatable story that Sarah could say, wow, it helped you and it worked for you, and that might be exactly what I need to do too. So it's just taking the parts of your story and the things that you relate to about what this new prospect or this new recruit has offered you as far as information, and really tying it together and letting them know that you do understand. And like I said, sometimes it's going to be somebody else's story. Sally used Suzanne's story to also back up her own relatable story. So, hers is a little bit different. She wanted the extra money. The trip ties into Sarah's desire for the European trip. So she showed her that her sister-in-law takes the trip every year now with her girlfriends, all because she has started her Avon business. So what additional stories beyond your own can you use when selling the Avon opportunity? Sally used Suzanne's stories. Whose stories do you guys have?
Our downline.
You do. You have your downline. What about your upline?
Upline, other representatives we've talked to or gotten to know.
Exactly. How many different, amazing, motivational, inspiring, tear-jerking stories have you guys heard over the years in this business? I can't even count how many I've heard. From Lisa Wilbur's story to, I mean, Lisa Wilbur's will make me cry just thinking about it. I can see myself sitting at the table crying right now when I heard it. So there are so many beautiful stories because this is a company in which women want to share their stories. So take them, listen to them. You're not stealing, you're borrowing, and you're not taking credit for their story. You're sharing it with somebody else who can relate to it. So by all means, take those stories and share them because that's really what's going to start to build that relationship and move you then to the W part of your growing. It's all about working to establish those next steps. Once you've really spent the time getting to know the person, getting to know her needs, finding that solution or bridging that need to Avon, which came very easy once she asked a few questions, right? So that bridge isn't necessarily the hard part. It's the digging deeper because that bridge is where Laura said I talk all the time. I can never find a way to get it to Avon. And Laura, I'm right there with you. I talk all the time too, but I don't ask enough questions to find the need. The need has to come out to have the bridge. Otherwise, you're just waiting for a pause in the sentence to say, oh, by the way, I sell Avon. Would you like an Avon book or would you like do you want to sell Avon? The bridge doesn't exist until you clarify the need. So once you've gone through all these steps and you've spent this time and you've really built this relationship and you've shared your belief, you've had these moments, it's time to really ask and establish those next steps. So what does that look like? You always ask her to join your team. Now, I'm saying always. Always is underlined. There are times when asking to join the team might not be the right solution. We all know that. But there is a right solution. Maybe she can be a helper. Maybe she needs a discount on her own personal shopping. Maybe she can give you a referral or a recommendation. So there is always something you can ask. So you're going to ask her to join your team. Why don't we get you started today? I mean, with everything that you shared, this sounds so exciting. I would love to get you started. We have a meeting coming up, and I think you'd absolutely love it. Let's go. What do you say? Or honestly, I'd love to have you join my team. How can we make that happen? How about, what additional information do you need to get started? What additional information can I provide you to determine if the Avon opportunity is right for you? What other ways can you ask somebody to join your team after you've really sat down and gotten to know them and have communicated those 3 C's and tied them back to her need? What are some other ways that you can ask her to join my team? Or your team, not my team. How about something like, so what do you say? Are you ready to take that next step? Or let's work on a European vacation together. How about it? What do you think of this opportunity? Susan says. I love that. Get to know what they're thinking. So be prepared for every outcome. Because right, not everybody says yes. If everybody said yes, we'd all be millionaires by now. So be prepared to handle any response depending on what that answer is. If you hear yes, be ready to get started. Have what you need. have your smartphone, your laptop, your iPad, have your, get started now code, whatever you want to do, however you like to get them started on the spot. Have a few books ready to get her going. Whatever that looks like for you, be ready. And ask for the things. Ask, what do you need to get started? Make a positive first impression and make sure that you have the basics with you. If you hear a maybe, what can we do? Maybe we need to further demonstrate your belief. Maybe you need to clarify her needs a little bit more. There are, what is she missing? If it's maybe, you've sparked a thought, you've sparked an idea, right? She's just unsure. So ask the questions. What is she unsure about? What questions do you have? Perfect, Kim. Now, what if you hear obstacles? What if you hear, my goodness, I just don't have that much time? Okay, we all hear obstacles. So you need to ask questions to dig a little deeper to understand. Once you dig deeper, you can understand and respond. So tell me, time is a huge thing for all of us. I understand you have 2 kids, traveling soccer, the one in college, I'm sure she's calling all the time, with situations. And then of course you're an editor, so that's got to be a full-time job. It does look like your plate's full. Tell me, what does that look like? What do your daily activities look like? When you're at the soccer field, what are you doing? Help her discover that she can build this business within those times. And what if you hear a no? Because not everybody wants to be involved in our opportunity. Even if we have found the perfect reasons for them to be. What if you hear a no? That's where we go to asking the person if they might be interested in either a product, if they might be interested in referring somebody to us. Do they know somebody else that may be interested in hearing about this amazing opportunity? And of course, stay connected with that person, because a no doesn't mean no forever. It means no, not right now. And that may turn into a maybe or a yes later. So staying connected with that person is very important. And by this time, you've built a relationship with them. You've had coffee, you've had a discussion, you've had a bonding moment of some sort. You've really got to know stuff about them. So of course you want to stay connected, because that relationship that you're building, it came from a genuine spot. These aren't fake relationships. You're truly building relationships. So identifying those next steps. No matter how she responds, you still have to close up the conversation, right? It's not just no, okay, see you later, coffee's done, check. No, that's not really how it works. You still have to have the appropriate next steps. So what does that look like? Well, if she says yes, then maybe setting a time expectation. Maybe, wow, you said yes, let's get you started right now. Now, what does this look like? You're gonna receive your kit in this amount of time, and then you take the next steps for onboarding, whatever those steps look like for you and for her. Maybe she said, I'm not really sure. Okay, I totally understand. I give you a lot of information to think about. We have spin class again next Thursday. Is there any way we could have coffee after spin class next Thursday? I'd really like to, answer any more questions that you may have thought of between now and then. Set a time expectation. I'd like to get together with you again at this time. How does that sound? Or, I'd love to talk with you in 2 days. What's the best way to communicate with you? Would you like me to text or call, morning or evening? Set that time expectation and be accommodating. Give them options. Make sure you get her contact information and make sure you ask, what's the best way to contact you? If you ask for simply an email address and don't ask if she could, checks her email, you may be wasting a lot of valuable time. If you get simply, a phone number and you choose to text, maybe it's a landline, who knows? Ask her the best way to contact her. And then, of course, highlight a roadmap of the next steps. So when you follow up that call. So I can't wait to see you at spin class on Thursday, and then, coffee afterwards. I'm really looking forward to it. If you have any questions between now and then, I'd love to be open and available for you to call me. Here's my information. What's the best way for me to get a hold of you? Okay, great. I'll see you at spin class if I don't talk to you sooner. So highlight that roadmap. Go over what does that look like. So here is another example of identifying those next steps. Deborah, Kim, do I have your participation still?
Yes.
Yay. Deborah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm here.
Yay, good. You sounded like you might be asleep.
Dozed off.
Okay.
Yes, you're really boring.
I am. I'm super boring today. Here you go, Miss Deborah. This is for you.
If you feel like you are still mulling this over, why don't you sleep on it? Think about any potential concerns or questions, and we can connect again in 2 days. How do you prefer to be contacted?
Okay, so let's talk about that. She gave her, so she must have got a maybe. Would you guys think she got a maybe from Sarah? She's still mulling it over, so she's giving her time. She set a time expectation, correct? 2 days. And she asked her preferred method of contact. So here comes Sarah.
I prefer text or phone.
Fantastic. Let me add you on now. When we connect later this week, we can determine if you think it would be worthwhile to grab coffee with Kelsey. She's fantastic and reminds me of you. We could also have you attend our team meeting if you like that.
Great. Talk to you soon.
Okay, so do you guys see that she gave her a really great roadmap? Remember, Sarah had mentioned friends. I want friends. So Sally just gave her the opportunity to meet with somebody who Sally feels has a lot in common with Sarah. And Kelsey could be another way of sharing belief, sharing her why, or sharing that identifiable story, that other thing, that other piece to the puzzle that Sarah might need is another relatable person. So she gave her that roadmap. I'm going to talk to you in 2 days. How am I going to talk to you? Well, we're going to text or we're going to call. Great. Let me get that number from you now. And by the way, here are some other things we can do besides just have coffee. So we all know that the fortune is in the follow-up. Avoid following the missteps when performing follow-up. We all do this. So how many times have we met somebody, thought they had great potential, and just completely didn't follow up at all? I know at least 1 or 2 of you are raising your hand. I'm raising both of my hands right now. So it's definitely something that we're all guilty of every once in a while. See, Kim's brave. She admits, yes. I mean, that's just the way it is. We do it every once in a while. Everybody deserves to drop the ball every once in a while. It's okay. We're going to pick it back up. Deborah says me always. Don't say always, Deborah. So let's talk about what that looks like. Follow-up fails. Not following it up at all. Connecting through Twitter when they requested text, email, or Facebook. I'm huge for this. I will ask how somebody prefers to be contacted, and they'll tell me, well, I love the personalization of a phone call. And then I get busy and I send an email, and I'm like, I'm so sorry I didn't get to call you today, but can I call you tomorrow? Well, what's the likelihood that they're going to check that email and tell me yes to call them? No, ding dong. I just need to pick up the phone and call them the next day. So that's a huge one, huge opportunity for me. How about not offering anything of value? So you shared the opportunity, but you didn't offer her anything significant as to why she might want to follow up or be engaged in your follow-up. Sally offered the opportunity for her to meet somebody who she could build a friendship with and have something in common with in Kelsey. Offer something of value. Not adjusting your plan of attack, so to say. So, nope, I wanted her to say yes right now, and she said maybe, and I don't have time for maybe, so I'm not going to adjust anything in my schedule to get to know her anymore. That one's just a no. I'm going to push that one to the side. How many times have we done that? Oh, she doesn't really want it. Well, did we really try to ask? So identify, an infinity of follow-up. We're all good at that. I've been talking to this person for 6 months and they haven't answered me in 4 of them, but I'm not going to delete her number because one of these days she's going to be ready. That's a huge one for me. I have people, well, not anymore because my phone got destroyed, but I had people in my phone from 2 years ago that I would still check in on once in a while. Really, 2 years later? But hey, I'm persistent. So let's talk about a simple follow-up plan. Kimberly, she wants to be a personal shopper, and I don't want personal shoppers on my team. That's a huge one. You're always looking for why they don't fit. We do that to ourselves when at the end of the day, we should really welcome everybody, because how many of us started as personal shoppers? I know a few of us on this call. Me personally, Susan Wong, I know did. Yep, there she popped in. She wanted face wash. She needed her face wash. I will never forget that. So lots of us started as personal shoppers, and look where we are now. So Laura did too. You shared that with me on your one-on-one, Laura. Yes, and that's huge. Huge. Susan says her upline is all about having personal shoppers, and it's true. Kim wanted a new hobby, so we didn't all embark on this business thinking I'm going to build a multi-million-dollar business or I'm going to build a legacy for my family. That's what we're doing now, but that's not what we did when we said yes, right? So things change. Whys change, beliefs change. So let's talk about a simple and easy follow-up plan. 2 days out, give her a call, give her a text, whatever form of communication she wanted. Check up with her in about 48 hours. Let another 2 days go by. Check up with her again. And remember to offer something of value, not just checking in to see if you've changed your mind. That's not valuable. That's not. Maybe the 4-day out checkup is, just wanted to remind you I'm having a get-together with the girls on my Avon team tonight. We'll be meeting at Applebee's for drinks and appetizers, and I'd love you to join us. We're going to be talking about some of our new products. It's fun. You'll get to try things you've never tried, and you can make a few new friends. And hey, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them. You're giving her something of value. Now, 8 days out, follow up again. So statistics are showing that it may take as much as 8 contacts before somebody says yes, whether that be a customer or a new team member. So remember that. Do not give up right away, but also you can't ride a dead horse. So there's got to be that happy medium in there too. So just make sure you're doing the follow-up. Now let's grow your business like a boss. Being a beauty boss means recognizing when it happens, the telltale signs that you're rocking it. And this is about conversations. The conversation's going to feel natural, less salesy and more sincere. Your prospect is going to be visibly at ease in having this conversation with you. They won't feel awkward or be trying to walk away. Your prospect will be leaning in, nodding their head in engagement and in agreement. So as they're talking, they're also listening. It's a two-way conversation. You're getting to know each other. You'll get at least 15 minutes of information being shared with you. So when you've really started to dig deeper, these conversations are not 2 and 3 minute conversations. The initial opening question is a thought starter, and you're looking for somebody to give you 10, 15, 20 minutes of information. That's when you know you've gotten to that sweet spot and you're digging deeper. That prospect is going to be eager to set up the next steps with you and will appreciate your follow-up. you at this point are rocking the Avon Boss Life and your grow model. And don't forget, it's okay to fake it till you make it. So how many times have you heard us say that they don't know what you're supposed to say, so just say what you want? As long as you believe in what you say, as long as you're having fun in the conversation, and as long as you're being honest, open, real, and relatable, you're going to be great. So don't get caught up on the words that somebody else uses. Don't get caught up on the phrase that Avon tells you is the best phrase. Make that conversation natural, make it easy, make it real, and make it relatable. And that's when you're going to rock your business. So let's look a little bit at what the application guide is that I sent out, your guys' homework, if you will. So it's really kind of thought starters and words to use. You're going to print these out, or you're going to fill them out online, however you want to do it. But again, remember, your computer needs to have Adobe. You need to save these in Adobe, open them in Adobe, fill them out in Adobe, save them again, and then attach them and send them back to me. If you do not have Adobe, you can go to www.adobe and get it for free. But that's the way that these modules are going to work the easiest for you. So the first part of it, that first page, gives you conversation starters. It's going to give you examples, and then you're going to fill in the blanks. So if you have a chance encounter at, I don't know, a high school football game, it's going to ask you, what could you use as a conversation starter? So what could you use? We're going to go to Friday night football this Friday night, ladies. What could a conversation starter be? Nobody? Well, I'll tell you, I love Friday night football. So my conversation starter is going to be, I'm so excited for this season. I cannot wait to see what these boys are going to get done this year. I love that, Kim. No, that wasn't Kim. That was Susan, huh? Susan, what position does your son play?
I was thinking this. No.
Yep. Do you have a team member? So, yeah, I can't wait to see what these boys are going to do this year. Was your son on the team last year? Or, you know, hey, is your daughter here with cheer? Are you here to watch the cheer or watch the football players? Whatever it takes. This is an exciting thing. People really get into football. So, you know, how do you think the boys are going to do this year? That'll definitely be a conversation starter. And then it moves down to kind of open-ended questions and giving you areas to plan some of those open-ended questions. It gives you some examples of needs, such as I need more money. And then, you know, what you can say to help you dig a little deeper into that. It's going to ask you to fill in a few needs of your own. By all means, fill those in. So what this is going to do is it's going to give you a lot of thought starters. It's going to give you a lot of conversation starters. And lucky you guys, be prepared, because on your one-on-one calls, what you and I will be doing is role playing. We'll be going through these thought starters and these conversation starters, and we'll have real conversations. And you guys can be the prospect and I can be the Avon representative, and then we'll switch it around. So we'll do as much of this as it takes to get comfortable. On the group chat, the follow-up call, not this Friday, but next Friday, let's talk about that. How many of you will either already be in Nashville Friday at noon or on a flight? How many of you will not be able to do Friday at noon for the call, the group collaboration call? Not this Friday, next Friday. So Deborah's going to be in Nashville. Now, Deborah, will you be able to tune in, or do you have something going on at noon? Okay, great. Kim will be in Nashville but can join from there.
Yeah, I can join from there. If it just, yes, I'll put that on the calendar.
Well, I'm only asking, I will actually be at the airport waiting to board. So what I'm wondering is if it's better for the group to move it up earlier in the day, or if it's better for the group to do it on Thursday. So a little chime in, or do you guys want to send me some private texts and then I can get to know what your schedules look like Thursday and Friday?
I've got tours and things both days, but I can work around it.
Okay, Kim's going to be traveling on Thursday. So why don't you guys do me a favor? Everybody on the call, and I will reach out to the ones that are not on the call. Send me a text or an email or call me, whatever you want to do, and just let me know what your day looks like Thursday and Friday. And I'm going to try to find the best opening that works for everybody, because not everybody's going to Nashville, but at least half of us are. And we need to have the group collaboration. So we definitely need to really hear you guys talk about how much fun you've had, because in this next 2 weeks, it's going to be conversations. So I really challenge you guys to get your homework done sooner rather than later. And even if you don't have your one-on-one call until later in the 2 weeks, be practicing some of these things. Be practicing some of the conversation starters. If you want to move your group call or your one-on-one call earlier this module so that you have role playing under your belt before you start talking to people, reach out to me, let me know. We will definitely work that out. But remember, this is huge, and that's why this module is towards the beginning. The more comfortable you are talking to people, the easier it's going to be to build your business or to grow your Avon business for this module. So remember, who is the most interesting person you know and why? We're going to talk about that on your one-on-one calls. We're also going to talk about that on the group collaboration call. So I will be talking to each of you throughout the next 2 weeks and a little bit today to find out if we can keep the group collaboration at noon on Friday the 4th, or if we do need to move it around due to RepFest. And then, of course, Kim, you did. Do you want to share who your hero is? We did it at the very beginning of the call.
Oh, I just, I couldn't get logged in because I was on the wrong email account.
Oh, no. Well, good. I'm glad you made it.
I wrote mine out, so.
Well, do you want to share who your hero is with me on your one-on-one, or do you want to share it with the group? It's completely up to you.
It doesn't matter. I just wrote, well, I wrote a speech.
Laura's telling us that she wants you to share. She wants you to share, Kim. So if you'd like to share it with the group, we're more than happy to listen to who your hero is. Susan shared with us. Did you get to hear Susan's hero?
I logged right at the end and heard that it was her husband.
Yes.
But I didn't hear.
Well, yes. And Susan shared that her hero is her husband because of the qualities that he possesses that she admires, such as the patience and the what I heard more than just patience, Susan. I don't know. I can't remember. I heard more than just patience. But share, Kim, who is, oh, he's the opposite of her, and that is what she admires about him. Everything that she's lacking, he possesses, and that's what she admires about him. So who is your hero, Miss Kim?
I'll read. I put, as a 5th grade teacher, my students were required to participate in the annual speech expo every spring. The 5th grade topic every year was, who is my hero and why? For this reason, I have given this topic a lot more thought than I think most do. I heard most children talk about a parent or a grandparent, occasionally a much older sibling, or even a TV star, movie personality, or superhero. And I always thought what a tough job it would be for a 10-year-old to narrow this topic down to just one person. After all, as an adult, after 8 years of thought, I still can't narrow it down to just one person. First of all, take my grandpa. The most generous person I know, worked 3 jobs in the beginning to support his wife and 4 children, all a year apart, and still insisted that Grandma tend to the kids before him. And he even took the first bottle and diaper change shift of the day at 2 a.m. before leaving for his first job at Borden's Milk Company. Then there's my dad, a man I have often referred to as Santa Claus, not because of the physical things he gave me, and yes, he provided very well. A self-made man that dropped out of high school because they tried to transfer him to a new school in the area. I didn't say he wasn't stubborn. And he climbed his way from the fueling dock to the loading dock to the special projects manager and assistant to the VP of FedEx Freight. No matter what went wrong, my dad could fix it. Countless times I walked into his office crying. He would shut the door of his office at a company with an open door policy, and when he reopened it, whatever had upset me was gone. He could move mountains, and still does. Next there is my mom, the most elegant and graceful woman I know. Soft-spoken, loving, so many kisses and cheek pinchings I'm surprised I even need blush, and it's not permanently tattooed on my face. She knows everything about people and never upsets anyone. She gets along with everyone. If I have an idea, she has the pros, the cons, the what-ifs, and the why-nots. She usually can't remember where she parked the car at the mall or whether to turn right or left onto Coffee Road to get to the studio where my girls danced for 10 years, but she can remember every single time my husband does something to hurt my feelings, what he does to make it up, and if he deserves my forgiveness yet. When I was a teenager and wanted to be left alone, she honored that, but she remembers every time she stood outside my bedroom door listening to me cry, and even though I never told her, she knew who each time was about. We talked then, not about everything, but what I did say, she never forgot. For 22 years, she was a grandma that worked. Cute clothes, hair colored and always cute and stylish, cut, nails done, makeup on, healthy diet. Everything picture perfect. Until that warm Friday evening last June when her sister and my girls sat in my grandpa's backyard and watched as I shaved her head 10 days after her first chemo treatment because it was coming out in handfuls and, quote unquote, making a mess on her pillow at night. This obsessive compulsive neat freak had stage 3 large B-cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and I was about to watch one of the strongest women I knew go through a battle of a lifetime. I was at her side every day, every treatment, every pill. She never once said, "No, I don't feel well." But I saw it in her eyes. Her mom passed 10 days before she started treatment. She took care of every detail of her affairs. She never complained, never took a sick day. Her diagnosis required surgery, stopping the lung and going across the top of it to get a biopsy of the esophagus. We had to tell her Tylenol 3 was just a prescription Tylenol, and I'd wake her every 2 hours, 24 hours a day to make sure she alternated her meds and took them, or she wouldn't have. 2.5 years later, or 2.5 years after becoming sick, and 15 months after starting treatment, I can thank God as I say, my mom kicked cancer's ass. And all she had to say at the end was, "No one ever told me I had cancer." Then there's my grandma, my best friend in the entire world, the woman I poured my heart and soul out to. She knew my innermost thoughts and dreams sometimes before I did. She taught me just about everything I love, sewing, cooking, knitting. I still struggle with that one. Crocheting, shopping, everything arts and crafts, everything girly. I was 8 when my dad transferred here to Modesto and moved me away from her. We went to visit every Friday night, and every Sunday afternoon on the way home I cried all the way. My dad would tell me to hush. I'd see her in 5 days. He didn't understand. That was too long. I stayed with her every summer, every school holiday, and she stayed with me for 6 months when my first baby was born, teaching me still. She was at every school function, every gymnastics meet, every dance recital. Every time I was sick or my kids were sick, she cooked, cleaned, played, and sang all the songs with Barney, Teletubbies, and the Wiggles, each of my girls' favorites. And when I went into the credential program, she lived with me again for 10 months to watch my kids while I taught full-time without pay. She took one of my 3 girls home every weekend in addition, just to spend quality time with them. And when she finally moved here, Modesto, to be closer to my girls and I, she cooked a hot dinner, packed it to go, and went with my grandpa to shuttle my girls back and forth to dance 4 days a week so I could stay home after work and be with my youngest, who was an infant. Doing this, she was in her late 70s. Another woman so strong you would never know when she was sick, until noon of the day she passed of blood clots filling both her lungs and drowning her. She was up walking around doing physical therapy for the knee replacement surgery she had had 2 weeks before. This woman served her mean, abusive mother for the first 20 years of her life. For the next 67 years, she served her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Every holiday, 30 of us sat down to her table, all at the same time, for the perfect meal she'd spent a week preparing. The day we all sat in her family room and told her of my mom's diagnosis, she vowed to take care of her. She planned to move a bed into Grandpa's TV room, who again is giving to his 65-year-old child before himself, right across from the bathroom and next to the kitchen, and she would take care of her until she was well. 10 days later, my grandma left us. Even though she was so scared and in pain, she waited for me to say goodbye. She watched her oldest son, just a year younger than my mom, die of a rare brain disorder just 3 years prior, and I don't think any mom could watch a second child die and live to tell. I believe she took my mom's place, and she vowed to care for my mom. And that she did, from right beside God, the ultimate sacrifice of a mother for her child. And that, in my eyes, is a true hero. That's it.
Thank you.
Okay, Kim, thanks for making me cry right before my meeting. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And I think you made Jenny speechless.
I know how much it took for you to write that. And as I listened to it, I remembered being there with you and watching you go through every single moment of that.
Yes.
You picked amazing heroes. And every quality that's in every one of those men and women that you talked about, you possess. And that's what the whole point of this was. And you can hold that paper dear to your heart for the rest of your life. But those men and those women have given you those qualities. You have every single one of those qualities inside of you. And you have the ability to move mountains just like your dad, for those that you want to move mountains for. So don't you ever forget that, young lady. You are amazing. And you will be the person that somebody else is writing that story about someday. So thank you for taking that hot topic so seriously. And thank you for giving us such a huge part of you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So ladies, the next 2 weeks, as I blubber like a crying baby, is going to be fun. The next 2 weeks is going to be a breath of fresh air. The next 2 weeks is about getting to know people, really being interested in them, and really finding out what they need. So again, who's the most interesting person you know and why? Who are you going to talk to this next 2 weeks? How are you going to get to know them better? And what words are you going to use to dig deeper? Let's grow your business, ladies. Thank you for the time that you've given me today. I'm here when you need me. Reach out. Let me know what you need and what I can do to support you. Oh, Barbara, that was sweet. You guys need to reach out to one another and really start building those relationships. As much as I want you to role play with me, it would be so much fun for y'all to reach out to each other and role play with each other too. So let me know if you need me to facilitate that. But by all means, let's get to talking this next 2 weeks, ladies. What do you say?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye, guys.
Jenny.
Yes.
I need to know when my one-on-one is.